Sometimes risks backfire. This one couldn't come at a worse time, but are we really surprised? Go inside the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the head.
Texans get some bad news heading into Seattle. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker here on a special Saturday edition. The week got pushed back, so we were going to just do a normal show today, go to practice, and just see what happened. Yesterday, shout out to everyone who joined myself and Cody Stoots, SNL at Spanky's. A little bit of a surprise on the injury report. I guess maybe not a surprise, but I guess a surprise because Texans were coming off a bye week, and Christian Kirk had played the week before the bye week, and we didn't hear anything about injuries. But I'll be damned as we're sitting there at Spanky's, hanging out with the peeps. And shout out to Sleeper, the best app in the game for sponsoring this video, best scoring app. And right now you can get in higher, lower, which we will once the new potential stats drop. But they're probably adjusting with the Christian Kirk news as well. So we're sitting there at Spanky's. The injury report comes out. There was no Tremont Smith yesterday. He was actually back at practice today. We saw him during the open media portion, but we see Christian Kirk's name on the injury report yesterday. And we know about the soft tissue stuff with Christian Kirk. It was one of the big concerns about Christian Kirk when the Texans decided to trade for him and keep him off the market. And before they even played a game, Christian Kirk was out with a soft tissue injury. Then he worked his way back. You saw them go above and beyond to get him involved in the fourth quarter against Baltimore. And then I'll be damned, we go out to practice today, and I look, the receivers are there, and there's no Christian Kirk. And the media portion, it's not a lot, but sometimes you can tell. And Christian Kirk was not there during the media portion. Then we sat around, we waited for the injury report to drop, and I'll be damned, Christian Kirk is out, which means the Texans started their season without Christian Kirk, and they started their post-bye without Christian Kirk. And both of these injuries appear to have happened. Let's cue up Allen Iverson.
We're in here talking about practice.
They happened during practice. Not a great look for Christian Kirk. Not a great look for Christian Kirk. So the question now becomes, who steps up for Christian Kirk? Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Xavier Hutchinson? Is it going to be one of the rookies, Higgins or Knoll? Who steps up? Because you need someone to help Nico Collins out. You need someone to help CJ Stroud out. I would hope that during the bye week, there was at least a little bit of acknowledgement or effort to perhaps get Knoll more involved. He's your slot receiver of the future. You hope you used a luxury pick on him, but you can't rely on Christian Kirk at this point. You can't. And this should not be, some injuries are bad luck. I'm not sitting here saying that Christian Kirk wants to get hurt or anything like that, but these risks aren't anything new. This was the concern when you made the move that you did to bring in Christian Kirk. He looked good in camp, but this was one of the concerns, and those concerns are taking shape. Sometimes when you park downtown, if you leave your laptop in your car, you're risking getting the laptop stolen. If you buy something online and it's been used, there's a chance that thing is going to break. Sometimes when another team doesn't want a player and you end up bringing that player in, it pays off. Year before the Kirk move happened with Joe Mixon. It worked out. Even though we haven't seen him this year, I would say it worked out for them last year. I think most people would agree with that. But in this case, this Christian Kirk thing it couldn't have gone worse. And this is beside the fact that he really hasn't been that good when he's played. Like, it's outside of that deep catch to start the fourth quarter when the Texans were kind of rubbing it in against the Ravens. It's not like Christian Kirk, when he's been on the field, looks like what he looked like in training camp. So that's just even more to it. But this is the risk that they took, and right now the risk is backfiring. So who steps up for Kirk? What do? Hopefully they had already proactively decided that they were going to find other guys to step up. But this isn't great. This isn't great at all. It's actually really, really, really bad. Let's go to the soup.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Shout out to Malik. He says McClain is the man. Need him on once a week on Texans Collector SNL. Dude, informative, funny, and sparks up the show. How you feel about Arnett? How you feel Arnett will play instead? I don't have much confidence in Arnett as a corner, to be honest with you. But there's really no expectations really when it comes to Arnett. But yeah, McClain's a guy. He's my dude. He's obviously a Houston legend, and we appreciate him coming out yesterday at Spanky's. The Rhino says it may be a blessing in disguise so Noel or Barrios can get some shine. Captain Kirk has been insignificant anyways. Yeah, and that's kind of what we threw out there.
Captain Kirk has arrived.
No, he has not.
I repeat, Captain Kirk has arrived.
No, he has not. Yeah, you got to get Noel involved eventually. The Kirk thing, can't rely on him, can't depend on him, and that's just kind of where they're at. So they got to figure it out. And by maybe Nick Caley is the guy that will figure it out. Let's hear from Nick Caley. I enjoyed his availability yesterday. I started by asking him what he's trying to accomplish in the bye. Here was what Nick Caley had to say yesterday when he spoke with the media.
Nick. When you go into a bye week, what is your goal to accomplish?
Yeah, first of all, to assess what's happened up to that point. So fundamentally, schematically, obviously assessing where a roster is, that's the goal. And then the goal, big picture wise, is to put things together and be able to clean things up, learn from any mistakes or issues that we had in the past, and then be able to, chart the course forward. So that's what we're trying to do. And, it's typically what we do on a bye week.
Offensive football, what do you feel like are some things that you guys are doing a lot better? Yeah. What do you think you can do to expand on that?
Yeah, I think we've executed better. We've gone forward more consistently. We haven't beat ourselves nearly as much. We played with better fundamentals. So I think we've given ourselves a chance to, play on time, to be efficient, and to operate the game plan, the way that we, genuinely intended to do so.
Knowing that it's been 2 weeks, it'll be 2 weeks in a day since the last time you guys have played.
Yep.
Is there any feeling of wanting to get things started quickly, knowing that it's been such a long period between?
Sure. I mean, yeah, sure. So, we had practice, obviously. You had one practice over the bye week. We end up coming back. We get together this week. Yeah, you want to get things back to normalcy, and you want to get going. We want to start every game fast, so you want to start practice fast. You want to be efficient. You want to have positive plays, and I don't think that changes, coming off a bye week. Obviously, I think we're all anxious and ready to go out there and actually play some football again. So, it's been a good week so far, and we just got to keep it going.
CJ's mentioned, as you guys have gotten into the season,
Yep.
Hey, we do this really well, let's do this more. Hey, maybe this isn't working. What kind of goes into that conversation between you and the players? And then ultimately, is it up to you to say, hey, we'll just leave this in this part of the playbook,
Sure.
We'll focus on this?
Yeah, I think, you assess after every game going into it. You got your plan, and then sometimes things get off the beaten path a little bit. You try to stay on course by playing clean football. But like anything else, what we try to do is when you assess what's worked and what hasn't worked maybe as well as you'd like to, you try to find out the why to that, and you dig. And then ultimately it's up to our staff and ultimately myself to be able to, through discussions, obviously with D'Amico too, but being able to go through and see where we can go moving forward and do the things that, we do well and expand those things. And, I think it's a learning process like anything else. But again, the most important thing I think that's helped us over the last couple games for sure is that we've played cleaner. We've stayed on time, and on schedule. And I think you give yourself a chance to truly execute and utilize your game plan.
To both of those points, when
Yeah.
you do have an early bye week, and it was as bad as it was early, and then you did see some success, do you just hammer home what you did well, or do you make more wholesale changes than you normally would?
No, I don't think we changed the whole process a whole lot. I think each week's its own deal. I think that, you look through the first couple games, you look through the last couple games, and, I think the biggest thing is just trying to figure out the why if things don't go well, and then why did things happen, positively for you, and you go from there. I don't think you overlook it any other way than that and try to, have a clean slate and an open mind to those things and just be honest with yourselves. And I think, we're continuing to build our team. We're continuing to learn who we are through the first month and change of the season. And I think that's just the course. We got to play good football. We got to take care of the football. We got to play on time, and we got to just keep continuing to get better and improving as we get going each week and each day. And that's what we're trying to do, is just focus on that and be process oriented from that standpoint.
Nick, the way that CJ is processing and seeing the field right now, what are you seeing from when you take kind of that big picture look at kind of the way Stroud's playing?
He has seen the field well. Like, he sees the game the right way. He's into it, and I think he just being able to establish a rhythm, being able to play good and play, not be in long yardage situations like we were, obviously early in the season, more than we ever wanted to be. So his approach and process really hasn't changed drastically. He's been consistent and steady. I think we just collectively have to play, consistent football, and that's the best thing we can do to help ourselves, and is getting off on the right start, to your question earlier. But he's been consistent and steady as a person.
One hat all season? I mean, is he super
No. I probably need to throw this. I got two hats, actually. They look the same, but no. I get into I get a little bit of superstition when it comes to the stuff that I wear, just a little bit. My wife would say the same thing.
Coach, throughout training camp and preseason, a lot of the players said that the
Already asked that
about your system was you use their skill set to not only to your advantage but to the team's advantage in order for them to be successful on the field. But you can only see so much in training camp and so much in preseason.
Right.
Throughout these first 5 weeks that you all have been on the field, what have you noticed more? Because even Xavier Hutchinson, said that the play that you called for him to get his first, career touchdown was something that you implemented.
Yeah, I think, you assess everything starting in spring, okay? I think we find out, just by being together and having time on task a little bit more about each other. And I think the whole purpose and the goal, it is players over plays. I mean, we all generally run similar plays. There's different structures and different systems and stuff like that, for sure. But I think, it's what do guys do well? And that changes, again, from week to week and year to year, team to team. But you always want to try to allow those guys to be put in a position to utilize their skill set. And we'll always do that. I mean, and I said this before, and I'm not trying to, go back to it, but like when I was a defensive backs coach, it was the same exact deal. It didn't change what side of the ball you're on. You're trying to find out the strengths of the guys that you have. You're trying to put them in position to best have success, to help our team have success. And I think just the more time you have on task, the more opportunities you have to see what maybe little wrinkles guys can do, or what compliments, maybe a receiver can do off of certain routes that he's already been pretty good at, that, can be change ups, or certain run schemes that maybe a back might have a good feel for, or, and some guys develop into having a better feel for certain things. So I think it's just time on task and being able to have more exposure to those guys. And it's been healthy for us. We just got to keep it moving in that direction.
You've faced Seattle the last couple of years.
Yep.
With the Rams in the overtime game last year. What are the challenges maybe that their defense presents, as well as just the atmosphere as a whole?
Yeah, well, they're extremely well coached. Does a great job. I think they have a really, really, really good defensive grouping in terms of, at every level, really disruptive. They play with great energy. They're a really talented outfit. And then you talk about the environment. I mean, it's a great environment for football. It's loud. It's a ruckus environment. They get into it. So, for a Monday night game, especially a primetime game, if you love football, I mean, it's going to be an outstanding atmosphere to go play a football game in. And I mean, it's a great place, and it's a loud environment, and it's a talented team that's very well coached. Got a lot of respect for them.
All right, so this is my thing with Caley. This is the first time that we've seen, and we'll hear some more from Nick Caley. Maybe he might like someone that a lot of people like around this time on the trade deadline. Shout out to everyone for joining the Locker Room special Saturday edition with the weird week and the Christian Kirk news. Christian Kirk, by the way, out. He will not be playing in Seattle. But I do wonder, we've seen Nick Caley go against some opponents that maybe he has a little bit of familiarity with. But as far as Seattle, this version of Seattle, the defense that they run, he was attached at the hip to Sean McVay, and he saw kind of how they attacked Seattle last year, and they ended up getting the win. So this is the first time that he's preparing for a team that he's seen multiple times that they've had success with in that atmosphere. So maybe there is some sort of advantage there for Nick Caley with the familiarity. Like we'll see him get Jacksonville for the second time in the same season, which I think is another one of the tests. And we'll also see Tennessee. So in the next 4 weeks, we'll see those types of challenges. But this is an opponent that he's familiar with. And, he's had McVay as his right-hand man. The other thing that I wonder, and I don't know how this works, and I don't think any coach would admit it, but let's be honest, like Sean McVay wants the Texans to win this game on Monday. And I don't think that coaches network all the time and like tell each other things, but he wants them to win this game because they're in the Rams division. So I do wonder if maybe he can pick the brain of McVay. Hey, did you see anything? Blah, 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 like figure something out or whatever there. And there's also that same factor with D'Amico, because one of Seattle's losses was to San Francisco, and D'Amico and Saleh are tied. So I don't know whether that stuff actually happens, how it works, but I do think this could be a potential advantage for Nick Caley. Now, will that advantage be enough to overcome any shortcomings with the Texans? I mean, your guess is as good as mine, but I do think that does potentially exist. Let's hear some more from Caley, including he might want to make a trade that some of us want to make.
You simulate that anyway. A couple of players in the locker room yesterday were saying we're trying to simulate.
Yeah.
How do you get them prepared for that?
You are clean with communication. I got to get the play calls in. We got to get back to the huddle. We got to communicate. We got to break the huddle. We got to play. We got to be efficient with what we're doing. Stay on track in terms of execution, and crank as much noise as you possibly can where it's deafening. Okay, where you got to be able to treat it as game-like as possible, and you go there. But starting fast, doing a good job communicating, and and starting to execute so we can get on track. Those are the biggest things.
When it comes to your running backs, is it a game plan situation? Decide who gets what opportunities in certain plays? Is it changing in the course of the game? How do you go about figuring out which running back fits better?
Yeah, I think it generally speaking, I mean, we've got a lot of confidence in all the guys in there, and we'll roll them in there, and DB does a great job with those guys. There might be some specific things, especially early on, that we might, whether it's trying to make sure we're not getting too lopsided with volume of reps and stuff like that. So you try to balance those things off. That could be a series by series deal. It could be a quarter deal. And then, there are some guys that might have a better feel as you get going with certain things. But generally speaking, we have faith in really the guys we have in the room to be able to roll in there and on really all three downs, to be honest with you. So you've seen that they've all played in those situations, especially Nick and Woody too, those two. But it's generally speaking, it's we have a lot of faith in both those guys. And obviously Dare's played as well too there, and in British in his own role as well.
Go ahead.
It seems like they're going to get back some of their secondary for this matchup. Just kind of what are the challenges that guys like Reek Woolen and Devin Witherspoon present?
Yeah, they're good players, good movement skills, good length. They play the ball very well. They're aggressive. They played a lot of football. They've been disruptive in terms of whether it's PBUs, interceptions, etc. Obviously Spoon's got good flexibility. He's a really good player. They both are. So they're a talented secondary. They're talented on all three levels really, and so got to play at our best and be at our best when that's required.
Nick, if you may ask this, sorry, but do you have like a personal story of your interactions with like Xavier Hutchinson, or do you recall the first time you knew like he could possibly be involved in the offense at a higher level than before?
Yeah, I mean, so we had training camp here. We had joint practices when I was in Los Angeles a year ago. So we got an opportunity to come down here and practice against him. So I was a graduate assistant at Iowa State. This is not really a connection with him, but I was a GA at Iowa State 2009, 10, and 11. So I have an affinity, or I've tracked those guys over the years. So I was aware of him, obviously, as a player through the pre-draft process. And then the first phone call, I ever made to him after I got hired here, he had such great energy about him. He's got such a great energy about him. And then you see him out here working. He's a tireless worker, and I have an appreciation for that just day in and day out. He hasn't changed, and I appreciate that, and I know we appreciate that. So Do I have a specific story? No, but I mean, he's a Cyclone. I have a master's degree from Iowa State, so I was aware of him when I first came here. But the guy works his ass off, and really happy for him. I think he's got a bright future.
Okay, so he likes Cyclones. Brees Hall Cyclone, just saying. Brees Hall Cyclone, just saying. I don't know whether we're gonna see that happen or anything, but hey, he likes Cyclones. We see a couple of Cyclones on this team. So Christian Kirk, if you're just waking up, Christian Kirk is out. If he's on your fantasy team, maybe you should drop it. Probably shouldn't be on your fantasy team, if we're being honest. This is quite a lot in a short time, to say the very least. So probably shouldn't have him on your fantasy squad. Frank Ross was fired the F up. Now, he didn't start very well. He tried to deliver a joke, but then he delivered the money quote of the week. Let's hear fired up Frankie. Special teams. Seattle, by the way, and all the nerdy stuff that I read leading up to games, they are very, very highly thought of when it comes to special teams. I asked Frank Ross about that. He went in depth, but first, I don't know that he'll be opening for the Kings of Comedy anytime soon.
Anybody, let me know if this joke lands. If anybody in the city of Houston is looking for a little caffeine, come up to the special teams office. We'll sponsor you an energy drink or something so you stay up for this one. All right? No. Okay.
What's your favorite energy drink?
Black coffee. Believe it or not. Black coffee. Yeah. Hi guys, good to see you. All right, so we to me, I don't care about rankings, I don't care about statistics. I watch the tape, and Seattle has done an unbelievable job. I've never gotten to face Jay Harbaugh, who is the nephew, obviously. John's coach for him, the son of Jim, okay, coach for him, Michigan, all the things. And what's unique about Seattle's special teams is that they use a lot of offensive players. They are a game plan team. So every week they're moving their parts around, tailoring it. It's not a form fill and then they play hard. That's not what it is. And then they have their wrinkles. So for us, to me, I look at it, it's the best special teams unit we faced this far. And I'm watching you just crossover tape. You can argue they're the top in the league right now. So that's not smoke. That's what I'm seeing on the tape. And a great kicker, top paid punter in the league. Dynamic return men. I mean, they're leading the kick returns out. Ross, raw starting points. So we're going up for Monday Night Football. You know how exciting that is, but like that place is going to be like hectic. And for us, we've got to make sure it is a nullified return every time we go out there and cover. Our return, we got to be on it. Stop their most dynamic players. Brady Russell, Jake Bobo, dynamic returner, and Derike Young, guys, rookie returner, Torrey Horton out of Colorado State. Like, we have to be on it and excited for the challenge to go up against one of the NFL's best so far this year. Take your questions.
With that said, that they're at the top of the rankings, like of special teams. Does that? I know that you want to do the same thing every week. You want to win that battle, but does it elevate maybe the competitiveness of you and your group to say we're going against one of the best, let's win the battle?
Yeah, I always speak it as honestly as I can to the room. Honestly, I walk up and I say, hey, here's what we're going against, and I'll try to emphasize the units that are the parts or pieces that are really challenging every week. And the only thing in the world that matters to me right now is my family and being 3-3. That is it. So whatever it takes every week, that's how I attack it. And so, like, we have got to find a way to attack whatever units in front of us that day. This week at Seattle, across the board, they're going to know, my guys in our room are going to know how dynamic they can be and where we really have to be on our game. So whether it motivates them or not, to me, it's the NFL is show up every single week. Just a little, added motivation is, man, we got to get to 3-3. That's what matters the most, is win this freaking game.
There you go. Boom, boom. Frank Ross fired up. He recovered nicely. Dropped the bar of the week. So there you go. This is going to be the special teams. Crazy. He didn't even mention Michael Dixon, I don't think. Former punter at Texas. MVP of the damn Texas Bowl. How about that? Punter MVP of a bowl game. Kind of impressive. But yeah, it's going to be, they're going to need everything. And they will not have Christian Kirk. So that's the big news. Christian Kirk, he's out. Where do they go from here? What will they do? Your guess is as good as mine, but this is, I guess it's somewhat surprising because you don't think someone's going to get hurt at practice twice in the same year. But it happened, and that's just kind of where they're at. So another element, Sunday, tomorrow, just get to sit back and watch some games. And then Monday, you might need a nap, you might not. I think a lot of the people in this community are used to staying up late. We'll stay up a little bit later. We'll have the post-game show, and we'll see how that whole thing goes. Be sure to take advantage of the sleeper promo, the $20 no deposit needed. We will adjust that accordingly with no Christian Kirk, and then you can get the 100% match up to $100 with the promo code Locker. RIP Christian Kirk. He's not dead. He might play again this year, we think, right? Until he doesn't. That's just kind of what they've signed up for. A lot of people seem to have some confidence in Jalen Noel. I think Jalen Noel needs to he needs to be incorporated into the offense. Period, point blank, end of story, whether you have Christian Kirk or not. Got to incorporate him into the offense. So I would strongly recommend it. I would have recommended that even with Christian Kirk, but I recommend it even more now. Got to get that fast mofo the rock, whether it's sideways passes, whatever the hell you want to do. I'm not big on sweeps. I don't know. I think Bobby Slowick kind of soured me on reverses. I tolerated. Damn it, Bobby! I tolerated all the reverses I could take with Bobby Slowick. A lot of y'all asking the sleeper pick. I gotta wait to see what they put Noel at. It might be less than 20 yards, but they don't have Noel on the board right now. So I think Higgins is around 36, 37. I want to take the over Noel, but I want to see what that number is. I'll post it on social media once it comes out at Landry Locker, and we'll see where that goes. But yeah, that's what the deal is. And then I'll put some sleeper picks up tomorrow on Insta as well. No Christian Kirk. Where do the Texans go from here? Can Nick Caley do his thing? Appreciate y'all for rolling through the special edition. We'll talk again on Monday. SNL. Oh, almost forgot. Me and Cody had an interview today with Ed Ingram, and pretty cool guy. He's been kind of one of the more popular topics on the offensive line. He's one of the top rated guards after what went down in Minnesota. We got him. So we're either going to drop that tomorrow, or we might wait till Monday for the SNL, the 4:00 SNL, since we have that extra content and it can kind of lead up to a game. So Ed Ingram, I don't think any of y'all have really heard from him. Pretty cool dude. He's from up 45 in Dallas. He knows where to eat when you go there. I asked him about that as well. It's a place that was causing significant traffic. They actually got city funding to rebuild it, but he knew what the deal was there. So we will talk again on Monday. Be on the lookout for the Ingram video. Subscribe, like, right along. Spankies, we're going to be back there the 31st. We were pretty deep yesterday. Pause, but we were pretty. There were a decent crowd there, and we anticipate the Halloween crowd being even larger. Got some gift cards to give away throughout the week. I don't think anyone's ever eaten at Spanky's and been disappointed. That chicken Alfredo lasagna, by the way, unreal. Subscribe, like, right along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, whether Christian Kirk's playing or not, or Nick Caley's going to do his thing or not, we're all in it together. Appreciate y'all. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy these late night college football games.
Got the game in the headlock, localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not 2, plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up.